I'm Bob Harris of Decorative Concrete Institute. Welcome to Duramin's training and educational series for industrial and decorative flooring systems. Okay, we're getting ready to apply our second application of Conwood. If you recall earlier, we put a base coat of the Conwood down. That's dried. We've sanded it, wiped it, and we've taped out our design here, kind of a wood texture or wood pattern, 6-inch planks. And we did just do a very light fog of water. Once that's absorbed in, that's just going to allow us time to be working it with the Conwood. You don't want to put this material over a dry substrate. It would lock up and just freeze up too quickly. Now, really, you know, art is really up to the individual person that's working with these mediums. I've seen some beautiful work out there, and guys get very creative these days with how you create a texture. So we recommend just experimenting. A lot of times, guys will just come in and use a broom and turn the broom to get a wood grain texture. I took something as simple as expanded metal lath and just made up some little pieces. We've cut out a couple of the end parts, and it works really nice. You can kind of go like this and just drag texture. So we'll demonstrate both. This will dry, and then we'll start our coloring process, and of course we'll remove the tape and ultimately put a sealer on it. The mixed ratio on the Conwood is roughly 6 quarts of water per bag or per bucket of Conwood. Just do these two here. Just go down this row. We're going to work backwards. Okay, I'll take a little more. So the goal is when you're texturing, you know, you can't work too big of an area. You want to just have preferably a person putting it down, like you see here, and then shortly after, we'll come back and we'll create our faux wood texture. That's plenty. Okay, so once again, with a broom, it would look something like this. Or with our little pieces of lath, come on in here. All right, Mr. Joe, if you want to come on behind me here, start with your next 2 rows troweling. A little bit, maybe. On our conwood application, the conwood has dried overnight. We removed the filament tape. Texture looks great. It is a good idea to go ahead and run a screen over the surface in case you have any little nibs, in other words, high spots of the conwood microtopping. So we're just going to flatten any spots down, making it a lot easier to maintain once the final coat of sealer has been applied. On our conwood panel, what we've done is we ran a 100 grit sanding screen and flattened it down. The texture looks great. Again, art is subjective. There's a variety of ways that you can work with this type of a system. You saw some just basic brushing, brooming techniques, running some metal lath through it. A combination of those techniques worked out great. It is important to go ahead and flatten it back down with a screen just to knock any ridges off. Plus, it adds additional texture by screening it. So we're going to be working with a aqua color water-based stain, and the guys, like I said, there's really no rhyme or reason on how you put this down. The guys are going to start applying the colors. It is good to start pretty much row by row and then work backwards. And then, if you're trying to learn how to recreate something like wood, for example, get a piece of wood and have it there, as a reference. So, for example, you could just have an actual piece of wood that shows this wood grain texture. And oftentimes I do that. Like if a lot of people ask me to teach them how to marble, and I'll have actual marble. So it's not bad to have the real material just to glance over as a reference. So what Joe's doing, he's just taking the lightest color right over the joints and everything. This was for demonstration purposes. We didn't want to leave that thin tape overnight. Okay, so we pulled it yesterday evening. If you're doing a large project and you have the time, leave the tape down if you want to preserve the natural grout color of your wood. So you would leave the tape down and then do all of your coloring, peel the tape, and then it will preserve the natural color. We've made the decision to go right over everything, including the grout joint. So he is just working with the lightest color, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come in with some secondary colors and start to accent and highlight. I even like to just take some stain and offload it here and just rub the tops of the texture to get it to have that grain look. We're back on our conwood application. The guys have done a really nice job of putting down the aqua color, which is a water-based stain. Now it's time to seal it. We're using AO1, which is a solvent-based acrylic. Again, you can use any of the systems that we've demonstrated. The polyurethanes, the epoxies, or polyaspartics would work nice on here. We're going to just roll a coat down. It will darken it up. If you had time, you could really take your wood over the top by hand painting in knots and texture. So this was kind of a real quick application on the wood, but like I said, the guys did a nice job, and the texture looks really nice as well from some of the techniques when we applied the conwood. Depending on the application, you probably would like a minimum of 2 coats of the AO1 for durability. And it's a very, very nice look.